So, today we're gonna go ahead with Jim Rohn's Leading an Inspired Life. Because I want to lead an inspired life, and I'm not doing that at the time. Well, yeah, I'm doing quite fine actually, to be honest, and I'm extremely happy to record this. I passed my fucking driving license theoretical test here today, and I'm stoked. Even though I do want to say, and I thought about that yesterday as well, and also regarding other things. Once you have been able to achieve something, once you've been able to get to a certain place, especially when it is something that you have been working for quite a while, and I've definitely also, structured my life a bit around that. I really took care of that, and I really made sure that that the chances are pretty high that I'm gonna pass that. So I really put a lot of time and effort into this shit. And now I'm done with it. And now what? What am I gonna do now? Of course I have the podcast, of course I'm working out, of course I'm having just trillions of other things to do, but there's something now I'm having the time for doing something else. And I've actually felt that I'm kind of exhausted today. I really fucked myself over the past, especially I think 2-3 days or something. It's been a bit rough, I'd say, but it is fine. I've enjoyed that time, and I think especially can say that afterwards. In the process and during the process, often things do not seem that nice and that well and that good, but afterwards you're gonna be like, well, it's not been that bad, and what am I gonna do now? Anyway, let's move ahead. Let's go ahead. When you can see that every link in the chain will eventually lead you to the things you want most out of life and to the person you want to become, then you won't grow discouraged, fearful, or impatient with today. Don't begin the activities of your day until you know exactly what you plan to accomplish. Don't start your day until you have it planned. Don't start your week until you have it planned. Well, I do think that having a structure, not necessarily planning it out fully, and but being smart about things, it just makes sense, and it makes life easier and better. If you, for example, if you have to learn something, then create a structure, boil it down to some simple steps and some things that you can do every single day so that you can achieve that goal in a certain amount of time, whatever it might be about, whatever type of learning it might be about, whatever exam it might be about, whatever so on and so forth it might be about. It just makes sense, and it is gonna make your life way, 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 way easier and more enjoyable, I'd say. What's in it for me can take you only so far. What is in it for somebody besides me can take you as far as you need to go. I don't know if I understand it correctly, but what it reminds me of is when you want something from somebody, then it really makes sense to tell them what is in it for them. Not what you want to have from them, but showing them what they can gain. Okay, I want to work for you because I want to help your business. I want to help you. It is not like I want to have a job. I want to help you. Like putting that first, this is gonna just communicate something completely different than when I say, okay, can I please have a job? Can I please help you? I think that I could help you. I think that I could really manage to grow your business. Think about the other person, what this person wants to have. Whether it is actually a future boss, whether it is, I would also to some degree say in relationships, even though I do think saying like, okay, I can give you X, I can make you feel X and whatnot. It sounds a bit strange, and it is a bit strange for sure. But principally and basically, yeah, it's the same thing. The best money spent is the money spent to cultivate the genius of your mind and spirit. And feeling good. Everything that has to do with you performing on your highest level. Whether it is actually kind of hiring somebody to do your laundry, hiring somebody to do the cooking and whatever it might be about. Even though, it is money. And if you have the money and if you can afford it, then it is fine. And when it's making your life way better and more enjoyable, then why not? On the other hand, I do think that it is gonna just be way better than some materialistic shit that that you're probably going to forget about in the next 2 weeks anyway. So yeah, I'm actually not that of a big fan of materialistic things, and I actually also don't buy quite anything materialistic. When I'm actually buying something, then it is food, to be honest. And this is kind of serving my goal of looking as good as I can and being in as good of a physical shape as I can. Anyway, don't spend more for frivolous comforts and conveniences than you do for education. I mean, one has to be like, yes, I don't like spending on conveniences, and I wouldn't also suggest to do so, even though just right before I said, well, hire somebody to cook for you, hire somebody to do the laundry for you. If you do have the money, why not? Before you spend it on a new car, a new house, something else, why don't do it like that? Why just don't have somebody to cook for you and whatnot? But of course, if you're not having the money, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, then it makes sense to buy as less as you can for conveniences. Like, for example, okay, I'm gonna buy this cut up fruit, even though it is more expensive, but I just don't have to cut it up. Doesn't make any sense. Why would you? Just more money and for the sake of being a bit faster, but you probably don't have anything to do anyway, or at least not as much, It's just saving you some energy, energy that, well, maybe is actually also good that you use, for losing weight, getting into shape, and so on and so forth. Like, just some thoughts. You have been working now for 6 years. How are you doing? I said, not very well. He said, then I suggest you not do that anymore. 6 years is long enough to operate with the wrong plan. Yeah, totally the case. I mean, after a certain amount of years, one can decide whether, whether it makes sense to go ahead with this certain plan that you're having. And if you just don't see any growth, if you don't see any progress, if you don't see anything changing, basically, then, one really has to make one's mind up and look for a way to improve things. And, look for a way to change things, and when you then change something and you see, okay, it's doing better, well, then just do that, but when you see, okay, I don't just like that, or I like it even less than the other one before, like the other plan, strategy, whatever it might be about before, then don't do that. But I mean, yes, after a certain amount of time, and I do think that we all are smart enough to decide what amount of time it should be or it can be. I mean, after 1 year, no. I think it is a bit too less time passed. And, after 3 years, maybe one should change something up. After 10 years, well, obviously, you maybe should be doing things in a different way. And, I mean, you can always go back to your original way. It is fine. Head or read something challenging. Hear or read something challenging, something instructional, at least 30 minutes a day, every day. Miss a meal, but not your 30 minutes. Yeah. Challenging things, difficult things, reading difficult things. It makes sense. I mean, challenging your head, challenging your body, challenging yourself. Why not? I say, John, I've got this gold mine. I've got so much gold, I don't know what to do with it all. Come on over and dig. John says, I don't have a shovel. I say, well, John, let's get you one. He says, don't you know what they want for shovels these days? Investment. I think this is the whole point of the story. Don't be casual in getting it. Casualness leads to causalities, whatever. Wherever you are, be there to absorb it. Take a picture if you can. Take pictures in your mind. Let your soul and heart take pictures, get it, capture it, and absorb it. I especially like the first sentence. Wherever you are, be there. Don't be somewhere else in your mind. Concentrate on a place where you are at. Live in the present, or living a bit more in the present, and feeling life, feeling yourself, feeling your environment, feeling the present moment. It's gonna make things better. We often are living in the past. We're often living in the future, but we quite rarely are living in the present moment, which is a pity. Give in to the emotion, let the feeling strike you. Take a lot of pictures, don't be lazy in capturing the event. Reflect means to go back over to study again. Go back over your notes, go back over your thoughts, and go back over your day. Long ago, people worked for 9 years, and the 10th year was a sabbatical used for relaxing, replenishing, and getting in shape physically. Really? I didn't know that. A change of pace. Go over the previous 9 years to see what went right and what went wrong, what worked well and what didn't work. Which makes sense, you know? Just, well, one could also be doing that on a weekly basis. Like, okay, on this day I felt really good. On that day I really did not feel pretty good. On the other day, again, pretty good and whatnot. And then trying to figure out what it is due to. Maybe it is due to you meeting a certain person. Maybe it is due to just something completely different. I don't know. But I don't know. Like, yes, being successful is fine and good. Yes, having money is fine and good. But, what about being happy and feeling good? What about that? Why do so many people focus on something different and then something else but this? Quite, Why? Why would one? Gather up today and invest it in tomorrow. Gather up this week, invest it in the next week. Success is one of the best forms of motivation. One person caring for another is life at its best. Yeah, totally the case. The road to heaven is heaven. Yeah, I get that. Often, like as I've been talking about yesterday as well or in the previous episode, it is quite often about the process. Most often when we are finding ourselves in a certain process, doing a certain thing, making a certain thing, and whatever. Like, this is amazing. Or like, okay, this is great. Or like, okay, it is fucking shit and it sucks ass. But afterwards it's like, well, the process wasn't that bad actually. And I don't know, like as difficult and as complicated and as hard as it is to focus on the process and try to enjoy the process as much as you can, without focusing too much on the goal or the end that you're having in sight or not having in sight. I don't know, the process is so important, and trying to make the process as easy and as enjoyable and as good as you can, whether it is actually about business, whether it is about work, whether it is about dieting. If you're struggling and starving every single fucking day, well, guess what? You're probably not going to have this diet for long. You're probably not going to be on this diet for long. And it just truly makes sense to do things in a way that make sense. And this has actually been it. I didn't expect that. But pretty amazing book. I've really enjoyed it, and I've really, I really liked it. But, I'm going to see you next time. Thank you very much, and I'll see you. Bye-bye.